Hello and welcome to Business 360. I'm Shireen Bhan. The headlines that we're tracking for you this evening: a late recovery pairs some losses in the Lal Street, but the Sensex drops below 80,000. The Nifty declines by over 100 points. The price war in the SUV market escalates. Tata Motors and Mahindra slash prices of their leading SUVs within hours of each other. The M&M stock declines over 6%. The company clarifies that demand remains robust. There is no concern over unsold inventory. The government may have enough cushion for both fiscal consolidation and welfare schemes in Budget 2024. Sources say strong direct tax and GST collections may allow the government to set a fiscal deficit target below 5%. The government may announce a new scheme to boost medical device manufacturing in the budget. Sources say the focus is likely to be on improved quality and reducing India's dependence on imports. Price controls may be one option to keep devices affordable. That's a CNBC-TV18 exclusive. Telecom companies bat for relief on Universal Service Obligation Fund and license fee, cite higher capex to roll out 5G services, hope the budget will offer a breather. That's an exclusive. Top life insurance companies increase the cost of term insurance policies. Sources say HDFC Life, Max Life, Bajaj Allianz and the Tata AIG have hiked prices by up to 10%. That's another exclusive.
The United States will make sure that when we export critical air defense interceptors, Ukraine goes to the front of the line. Ukraine will prevail.
U.S. President Joe Biden says NATO nations will deliver new strategic air defense systems to Ukraine. Hits out at the Russian president, saying Russia will not prevail. Any meaningful progress on Ukraine joining NATO is unlikely. Prime Minister Modi gets a musical welcome to the land of Mozart. This is the first visit by an Indian Prime Minister to Austria in over 40 years. The Supreme Court observes that West Bengal government's plea objecting to the CBI launching investigations in the state even after the state government withdrew its general consent is maintainable, says the case will proceed on its own merits. 18 people are dead and 30 injured after a double-decker bus collided with a milk tanker on the Agra-Lucknow Expressway. An initial investigation shows the bus was overspeeding. Amidst growing regulatory scrutiny, Microsoft withdraws from the board of OpenAI, giving up its observer seat. Reports suggest Apple has also dropped its plan to join the board. From Meerut to Paris, an in-depth look at the Olympic journey of 31-year-old Rani, the Asian javelin champion, is raring to go for gold at the Paris Games. Well, let's start with the market action for the day. We saw a late recovery, and that certainly did help pare some of the losses on the Lal Street. But despite that, the Sensex dropping below the 80,000 mark. So today, the Sensex closing 426 points lower. That's a 0.5% cut, a 0.5% cut, or 100 points lower on the Nifty as well. The Nifty banked down by almost 1%, and the Nifty Auto Index lost about 2% today. So there was clear pressure as far as the auto stocks were concerned, which led the decline. Prashant is standing by now to wrap up the market action. Prashant, closing in the red, but significantly off the intraday lows.
It was a down session, but it was much better as compared to where the Nifty had gone to at the low point of the day. I mean, actually, not just the Nifty, the broader markets also had sold off quite a bit, but they all recovered and ended quite a bit off the lows of the day. I mean, actually, the Nifty ended above a critical, very short-term sort of average, which is the 40-hourly average. And that was a good sign. So bodes well as we come back tomorrow. Nifty Bank was worse off than the Nifty. Was down about 0.75%, but here also there was a recovery, but a shorter one. Mid caps and small caps, full 1% recovery from the day's low here. Now I'll come to stocks, large caps, and here I'll start with what was up. Insurers really stood out, and of course it was an exclusive story about term policy premiums being increased across the board. So the big gainers were SBI Life and HDFC Life. Others did well, but these are the part of the Nifty insurance companies. Asian Paints did well. Again, a CNBC-TV18 exclusive where paint prices are being increased. Small increase, but some big reactions coming through. Asian Paints here stood out. Divi's Laboratories, Power Grid are some of the other names. Cuts coming through in Mahindra & Mahindra. Sharp knock there. There were other auto names like Hero, which were also down. From the metal space, Tata Steel and Hindalco saw cuts, and TCS which will report numbers tomorrow, was which also saw some profit booking. In the broader market, there was more down than up. Declines outnumbering advances almost 2:1. But volumes were once again with what was up. So I'll start with gainers here. RVNL, D-Link India, India Cements was up 5%. Indigo Paints, like a rocket, almost 12% higher, more. Talbros Auto, 5-star. There was Shoppers Stop, which was up 15%. Ethos, Max Estates, 10%. Brigade Enterprises, Shakti Pumps are some of the names which did very, very well. On the downside, in terms of reversals, there was, these fertilizer companies, RCF, National Fertilizer, which had done very well, pulled back. Bombay Burma was down 5%. DB Realty down about 6% or so. There was Power India, which lost about 5%. And a few other names like Kirloskar Brothers and BL Kashyap, which were down about 5 and 6% respectively. So a soft session, down close, but off the lows meaningfully. Back to you.
All right, Prashant, many thanks for joining us. That was the market action. A big cue for the market. Potential moves from the central bank this year. What will the RBI do? Well, here it's straight from the horse's mouth. Latha will interview the RBI Governor Shaktikanta Das live and exclusive right here on CNBC-TV18. Catch that definitive RBI Governor interview through the 11th of July only on CNBC-TV18. Well, a stellar debut for Emcure Pharma on the bourse. Shares of the pharma company listed at a premium of over 30% to its issue price. The IPO was subscribed nearly 70 times. The drug maker plans to use the funds for debt repayment and general corporate purposes. And on to the auto sector. The price war in the SUV market has escalated. Two of India's biggest competitors, Tata Motors and the Mahindra Group, have slashed prices of their leading SUVs within hours of each other. Parikshit is standing by now with what's driving the SUV price wars. Parikshit.
Well, it's a mix of factors. Clearly, the sales in May and June at a retail level have been low and lower than expected. And this has created a high amount of inventory in the system. In fact, the Federation of Automobile Dealers telling us that there is 60,000 crore worth of inventory lying unsold. That is roughly 6.5 lakh cars with a ticket price of 9 lakh rupees each in the system currently. So they've been worried about this inventory, which is of 62 to 67 days. So clearly, the heat wave that we had seen, the elections that we had seen had slowed down demand in the market. Now you've got the monsoons, the sowing season, also an inauspicious period of Shraddh that is observed in many parts of the country. All of this put together makes it a weak Q2 outlook at this juncture. And therefore, there is a need for price correction, which is why many automakers are making that limited price correction for a few months in order to exhaust that inventory. On the other hand, how the markets have taken it, that there is weakened demand in the market, which is also possible because the Society of Indian Automobile Manufacturers has been saying that this year could be muted demand or muted growth just because of a very high base that we had seen over the last 2 years. The pent-up demand is now over, and many are saying that those supply constraints are gone, and we're now heading into a buyer's market. This kind of competition we haven't seen in the last few years, but clearly there are a lot of options in the market. Companies are slashing down prices aggressively, and this is what is leading to those discounting wars. Not just these two companies, but be it Maruti Suzuki, Renault, MG Motor, Hyundai, all of them are resorting to discounts, and some companies also giving discounts of up to 3.3 lakhs on cars where there is an oversupply. Let's listen in to RC Bhargav.
Well, I'm sure the UP government will take into account that although the policy was originally framed and I think intended to be implemented from 22, it's actually come into effect 2 years late. And that could be a consideration which they might take into account next year when they're nearing the end of the period of 25.
Well, that's the chairman of Maruti, RC Bhargav. Lots of news coming in from the Supreme Court today, starting with it rejecting Bajaj Auto's plea seeking to remove the cap on three-wheelers in Delhi. Now, the Apex Court has held that it cannot allow commercial interests to trump environmental concerns. The Supreme Court directed the Delhi government to freeze the total number of fresh auto rickshaw permits way back in 1997, citing pollution concerns. The city has nearly 92,000 auto rickshaws that are running on CNG, and the older lot of vehicles are currently being phased out. Staying with court action, the Supreme Court has agreed to hear a plea by Adani Ports against the recovery of 108 hectares of land by the Gujarat government. The apex court has stayed the Gujarat High Court order directing the recovery of the land. The Supreme Court has also issued a notice to the state government seeking a response. The Gujarat High Court has ordered the recovery of land after PIL alleged losses for the local community. Well, here's a CNBC-TV18 exclusive. India's leading life insurance companies have increased the cost of term insurance policies. Sources say that HDFC Life, Max Life, Bajaj Allianz and Tata AIA have hiked prices by up to 10%. Yash is standing by with the details. Yash, take us through the price breakdown.
Well, Shirin, exactly. Term insurance expected to get costlier for its policyholder, and the price hike is coming from industry leaders here. What we've been given to understand is that large life insurance companies have taken a price hike of anywhere between 1 to 10% on their term insurance portfolio. Just to name a few of these companies, HDFC Life, Max Life Insurance, Bajaj Allianz Life Insurance, Tata AIA Life Insurance, all of them have taken this price hike on the term insurance portfolio. Also, what we've been given to understand from our sources is that ICICI Prudential Life is expected to take a similar kind of price hike when it comes to its term insurance portfolio. Now, just to break down individual company-wise, HDFC Life Insurance has taken about 10% price hike on the term insurance side, but this is only for the age group of 60 years and above. Term insurance forms about 5% of HDFC Life's total APE, but that 60 years and above section will be much smaller for the company. For Max Life Insurance, they've taken a price hike of anywhere between 1 to 6% across age groups on the term insurance side. Term insurance forms 9% of Max Life Insurance total APE. Bajaj Allianz taking a price hike of 1 to 6%, term insurance forming about 6% of Bajaj Allianz Life total APE. And finally, Tata AIA Life taking a larger amount of price hike, anywhere between 3 to 10% on its term insurance portfolio. ICICI Prudential Life Insurance expected to take a similar amount of price hike, that is about 3 to 5% on its term insurance side. 4 key reasons: inflation adjustment. Second one, increase in tier 2 and tier 3 term insurance coverage. Third one, underlying cohort changes. And the fourth one is reinsurance prices have remained firm at elevated levels and haven't come down. But in hindsight, this amount of price increase on the term insurance side will also help these life insurance companies offset that impact, the negative impact which will come because of the cost of the higher surrender value which came about last month.
All right, Yash, many thanks for joining us. It's not just insurance. Paint companies also hiking prices. Berger Paints has announced price hikes of up to 1%. Sources tell CNBC-TV18 Asian Paints has also hiked prices, which will take effect from the 22nd of July. Remember, Asian Paints had cut prices by nearly 4% in the March quarter. Now, the government is likely to include a new scheme to boost medical device manufacturing in the budget. Sources tell CNBC-TV18 the scheme will be aimed at improving the quality and reducing dependence on imports. We also learned that the government may impose price controls and a marketing code. Timsy standing by with the details. Timsy, what could be on the cards?
Budget 2024 is likely to contain a new scheme to boost medical device manufacturing in the country. Sources have told CNBC-TV18 that the scheme is aimed for having improved quality and a reduced dependence on imports of medical devices. It may propose medical devices to conform with codes set by Quality Council of India and Bureau of Indian Standards. The new scheme may also seek to have post-market surveillance, regulatory streamlining and clinical evaluation of medical devices. The new scheme will consider strengthening existing manufacturing facilities and upgrading quality. It might also propose a marketing practices code and price control norms for medical devices. However, as we speak, Finance Ministry is still evaluating the proposal and is yet to get finalized. Just to make you understand how big the sector is, well, last fiscal medical device imports by India were at the tune of 8.18 billion and exports were only worth 3.8 billion. So let's see whether the scheme makes it to the budget or not.
All right, many thanks. Well, the budget wish list is only getting longer, citing higher capex due to the 5G rollout. Telecom companies have sought some relief on the Universal Service Obligation Fund and license fee. These are not new demands. Industry wants the license fee to be cut from 3% to 1%. Companies also batting for removing non-telecom revenue from computation of gross revenue. While staying with the budget, sources tell CNBC-TV18 that the Road Ministry is likely to get a higher budget allocation of 3 lakh crore rupees as against over 2.7 lakh crore rupees in the interim budget. The government could focus on increasing digitization in the sector with GPS-based tolling and the usage of artificial intelligence to detect flaws in roads or highways. As per sources, the government is likely to set a target of 3,000 kilometers of new highway construction. An announcement around future energy-compatible highways may also be in the pipeline. The Haryana Real Estate Regulatory Authority has said that the upcoming budget may include housing loan interest rebates for units priced between 30 and 35 lakh rupees. Speaking to CNBC-TV18, Sanjeev Kumar Arora of the Haryana RERA has said that the real estate sector is expecting more incentives from the government. Take a look.
There are certain relaxation being given in the lending rates to the home buyer as well as the developers, which will certainly boost and help out promoters and the home buyers as well. And there are certain incentives announced, and further it shall be increased, maybe in the budget itself. And maybe in the budget itself, the real estate sector may be declared as an industry.
And there's more budget-related news. We bring you the big budget exclusive tomorrow at 3:30 p.m. The CNBC-TV18 CII Budget Town Hall, where the entire top brass of industry will be in attendance, and we quiz them on their budget expectations. Sanjeev Puri, Sanjeev Bajaj, Sunil Kant Munjal, R. Mukundan, Chandrajit Banerjee, B. Tyagarajan, Shenu Agarwal, Vinod Agarwal, and many more will speak exclusively at the CNBC-TV18 Town Hall. For 25 years, CNBC-TV18 has been covering the union budget, so stay tuned to us, your budget destination for all the big newsmakers and news breaks. Well, time for us to head into a break, but up next, from Meerut to Paris, an in-depth look at the Olympic journey of 31-year-old Rani, the Asian javelin champion, raring to go for gold at the Paris Games. That and more when we return. US President Joe Biden has said that NATO nations will deliver new strategic air defense systems for Ukraine. Speaking at the NATO Summit in Washington, Biden hit out at President Putin, saying that the military alliance is stronger than it's ever been in its history. However, any meaningful progress on Ukraine joining NATO is unlikely during the summit.
Ukraine can and will stop Putin. Especially with our full collective support. And they have our full support. Nearly 24 allied partners have signed a bilateral security agreements with Ukraine. And more countries will follow. Today, I'm announcing an historic donation of air defense equipment for Ukraine.
And more international news. Prime Minister Modi received a musical welcome to the land of Mozart. This is the first visit by an Indian Prime Minister to Austria in over 40 years, the last being Indira Gandhi in 1983. The Prime Minister said he discussed the conflicts in Ukraine and West Asia with the Austrian Chancellor. He also reiterated that solutions to conflicts cannot be found on the battlefield. Now, this visit comes a day after the Prime Minister held bilateral talks with Russian President Vladimir Putin. Microsoft is giving up its observer seat on the board of OpenAI amidst regulatory scrutiny by Europe and the US. The tech giant said that its withdrawal will be effective immediately. According to the Financial Times, Apple has also opted out of taking on the observer role. Remember, the tech major was expected to take on the role as part of a deal to integrate ChatGPT into the iPhone. Now, a union representing Samsung Electronics workers have gone on strike indefinitely in South Korea. The workers are protesting for better pay and benefits. The union has said it made the decision after the management showed no intention of holding talks over its demands. The Reserve Bank of India has raised concerns over banks having lakhs of internal accounts which are being misused for fraudulent transactions or evergreening of loans. In a meeting with the chief financial officers and auditors of banks and financial institutions, the RBI has also expressed caution against lapses in compliance and audit functions. Ritu's here with more details. Ritu, what are the big takeaways from this meeting?
Yes, RBI has flagged concerns about instances of potential misuse of internal accounts for frauds and instances of lack of adherence to the spirit of regulations. Now, during an interaction with CFOs and auditors of banks and financial institutions yesterday, Deputy Governor Swaminathan J said RBI had found cases where banks had lakhs of internal accounts with no apparent valid reason, and without naming these banks, he said some of these accounts were used as a conduit for fraudulent transactions and evergreening of loan accounts. Now, internal accounts are essentially accounts that exist within an organization and they're used to transfer funds between various business units. So the Deputy Governor asked these CFOs to bring them down to an essential number and exercise more control over them given the high-risk nature and the potential for misuse. He also urged bank CFOs to invest more in technology and to generally guard against any misadventure or intelligent interpretation of regulations or accounting standards. Now, at the same event, another Deputy Governor, M. Rajeshwar Rao, also urged lenders to improve the quality of their disclosures, asking auditors to ensure compliance not just with regulations, but also the regulatory intent. Now, he pointed out that the implementation of principle-based guidelines in NBFCs, for instance, has been found to be lacking. He observed that in cases, NBFC's accounting disclosures often merely repeated the text of the accounting standard without giving any real insight into the assumptions or the methods used in calculating the expected credit loss. In another instance, he said ARCs were found to make no provision for management fees and expenses while calculating their capital adequacy. So again, you have the RBI cautioning lenders, cautioning banks to tighten control and not misuse any flexibility in regulations provided to them.
All right, Ritu, many thanks for joining us. The Supreme Court has observed that the West Bengal government's plea against the CBI launching a probe despite the state withdrawing its general consent is maintainable. Now, the top court has said that the case will proceed on its own merits. The plea alleges that CBI investigations in West Bengal, despite withdrawal of consent, is a clear case of constitutional overreach and infringes on the state government's sovereignty. 18 people are dead and 30 injured after a double-decker bus collided with a milk tanker on the Agra-Lucknow expressway. Initial investigations show that the bus was over-speeding. The Mumbai BMW hit-and-run case accused Mihir Shah has been sent to 6 days of police custody. The accused will face police investigation till the 16th of July. The 24-year-old who was driving a BMW car rammed into a two-wheeler in the Worli area of Mumbai on the 7th of July, killing a 45-year-old woman who was riding with her husband. Visuals of the crash showed the woman was dragged for 1.5 kilometers after the collision before the BMW stopped. The Punjab and Haryana High Court has directed the Haryana government to remove barricades at the Shambhu border in Punjab within 7 days. The court observed that the closure is causing inconvenience to general public. Remember, the Haryana government had set up barricades at the Ambala-New Delhi National Highway in February during the farmers' protests. A rising star in India's Olympic squad is a woman who's beaten the odds multiple times to emerge victorious. Rani captured hearts and the nation's imagination at the Asian Games in 2023, becoming the first Indian woman to win gold in the tournament. CNBC-TV18's Matthew Thomas recounts this 31-year-old's road to the Paris Olympics 2024.
From hurling sugarcane stalks to winning gold at the 2023 Asian Games, 31-year-old Rani's journey to Paris is nothing short of remarkable. Rani's strong throwing arm was first discovered by her brother during a cricket game as a girl in UP's Meerut. The future athlete's tenacity and hard work soon caught the eye of national-level coaches, resulting in a debut at the age of 18. However, her father still disapproved of her penchant for the sport despite this early success. That changed in 2014 at the National Interstate Athletic Championships when Rani shattered a 14-year-old record to bag gold. That record was just the first of many, but Rani is no stranger to disappointment. In the Tokyo Games in 2021, she failed to make it past the qualifiers. Following this disappointment, Rani headed to train in Germany and soon after speared gold at the Asian Games in 2023. This made her the only Indian woman to bag a javelin gold in the tournament's history. She is also the first Indian woman javelin thrower to breach the 60-meter mark and has made it to the podium several times through 2023, all in preparation for Paris 2024 and beyond.
अगला टारगेट आपका क्या है? अगला टारगेट तो मैम ओलंपिक्स ही है, तो सभी प्लेयर्स का टारगेट वही है कि दोबारा से प्राउड फील कराएं अपने देश को.
With a string of laurels in hand and some heady ambitions, Rani is certainly an athlete to keep an eye on. In Mumbai, Matthew Thomas.
Well, yes, wishing Rani the very best of luck. And with that, it is time for us to wrap up this edition of Business 360. The news will continue right here on CNBC TV 18.